Anyway, welcome to my studio, and this is Jumpstart 5 Part 1, or 5A, Bud's Hut, and we're going to actually be doing a painting, a watercolor painting of a snow scene you can see over my shoulder here. The fact that this is Part 1 implies there's going to be a Part 2, and indeed there is. Part 1, we're going to be looking at the skills necessary to paint the painting in isolation. And then in Part 2, we'll actually do the painting, and hopefully we'll be doing both together. So, in the last episode Jumpstart 4, we looked at color and discussed the three dimensions of color, namely hue, value, and saturation. So of course hue is the color itself, value is how dark the color is, and saturation is how chromatic or pure the color is. So let me remind you of this tool, which is the color wheel. And we'll be concentrating today on hue, since we did value last time, hue and saturation a bit today. And so the color wheel is good to talk about hue. And this is the three primary color wheel, standard subtractive painting color wheel. And it involves having three colors which you cannot mix. You cannot mix anything else to get to. And those are yellow, red, and blue. And then you mix the other colors using those three primaries if you so choose. Now today we're going to be mixing a lot of green. You can see here in Bud's Hut we have a lot of green paint, and that green is going to be determined by mixing yellows and blues together. So you take the two primaries on either side of the color you want to mix, and this is the color we want to mix, and you use those two to mix the color. That's pretty obvious. If we wanted an orange, we'd mix the reds and the yellows. So I'm not really going to talk about color mixing, since most people understand how to at least get the hue right using the three primary colors. Saturation, though, is new. And these trees in Bud's Hut painting are not bright, highly saturated greens. They're olive greens. They're kind of dull greens. There's a variety of color in them, but they're dull greens, which means we have to take our bright greens and cut the saturation. We have to neutralize them, grade them out a little bit. And we do that with any color by looking at the complementary to that color on the color wheel here. So the complementary of a color is the color that's on the opposite side of the color wheel. So if we have a green paint, okay, like this one where my finger is, then the color on the opposite side down here is a red. That's the color we're going to add to our green to neutralize the green a bit. We don't need much, just a little bit will neutralize it enough. And so you'll see when we do the trees, we'll be adding a little bit of red to it just to make them more realistic. So let's look at the painting here in very simplistic terms. We have a value pattern. We have a lot of color, but let's look at just the values. At the bottom, the snow, we have a very light value. In the middle here, we have the trees, which are a middle value. And at the top, right here, we have a dark mountain line. So, light, middle, and dark. And it works pretty well. It's a pretty attractive pattern. We also have a center of interest, by the way, which we're going to, when we do the painting, paint that at the very end, but we'll leave it white. And at the very top, we have sort of an area which is nondescript, but we'll talk about that when we get to it in Part B. For today, we're going to concentrate on mixing paint and making an attractive light area of paint, doing a wash that's very attractive, exciting. We're going to look at middle value areas of paint and how do you make those look attractive. And then we're going to look at the dark values and how do you make them look attractive. Not just black dull, but in vital, exciting blacks as possible. And those are the three skills that I really want you to concentrate on today. Because here's the theory, and you can prove me right or wrong. You can challenge it. All my theories you can challenge. The theory is if you can make an attractive light, an attractive middle, and an attractive dark, and you have a value scheme that you like, then the chances are you're going to make an attractive painting. But if you can't do that, if you don't know how to make an attractive area of paint, then chances are the painting's not going to look good at all. There's a good chance of that. So let's move on here to what I mean by attractive. I mean attractive means something pleasing to look at. Something that you tend to look at rather than look someplace else. Start off by just reviewing a little bit about mixing paint. And to do that, I'm going to be mixing, for practice purposes, mixing a grain, which is appropriate because Bud's Hut has grains in it, a lot of grains. So we're going to be color matching to this chip for these top two panels. The method we're going to be using at first is called indirect mixing, and basically that's how you expect to mix paint. We're going to mix on the palette. We're going to add a little bit of yellow, blue, and together until we get the green that's closest to this. And then the direct mix is something that's probably going to be a little newer to most of you, and that is we're not going to mix on the palette at all. We're going to basically put the yellow right here and the blue here, and we're going to see how that compares to this. Both methods work really well, and both methods are going to be used in the painting process itself. Now, I'm going to be using a 1-inch brush, and let's get started. So I'm going to start here with some yellow paint. This cadmium yellow. Okay. And here's my cobalt blue, which is pretty bright blue, so we're going to get kind of a lime green out of this. Definitely not a conifer green, that's a lime green. Now it's pretty highly saturated, high chroma, so we need to put the chroma a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of red to it. Most natural greens have some red in them. All right, so here we go. Now, it's pretty light green on that chip, so I'm going to add some water to it. Let's see how it looks. Could use a little more blue. Okay, a little more water. A little more blue. So the trial and error process here. Okay. So it's just area that's got the good paint. Okay, this is indirect mixing. Will I get it right? How close will I get? I don't know. Okay, not bad. So, well, we're going to go with it. Now, take a look at this. This looks quite a bit darker than that, but it's going to dry lighter. So let's go ahead and blow dry it. All right, close, but not a blue ribbon. Close enough though. Let's try the indirect mixing. And we're going to, I'm going to pre-wet this area. I didn't do that on the other one, the direct mixing, but I'm going to pre-wet. And my brush is a little dirty. And I'm going to now just take some yellow. Same colors, cobalt blue. little more cobalt blue. And now let's try a little bit of that red. Now I'm using crimson-like color here. This is not cadmium red. This is a rose color. And wow, it looks like we really went off the boards with the red. It didn't take much red to reduce it. All right, well, that's getting pretty close. Let's go ahead and see. And let's blow dry it. And let's do a comparison between the two. So there's a little difference. This is a little bluer, I think, but you may not be able to tell. This seems a lot more uniform, although I do see strokes in it. And this, I do see some strokes here too, but I can actually see streaks of blue and yellow in here. Which makes this a little more interesting. So one of the things about an attractive painting, one of the ways to make an area of paint attractive is to have variety in it. So here we have subtle variety in value, the strokes. I can see it's a little darker here, it's a little lighter there, but basically same color. Here we have some strokes, also darker and lighter, but we also have some additional variety of color. So it turns out that direct mixing is a much more colorful way to make a watercolor wash, whereas the indirect mixing is a lot, it may be more accurate, but at the same time it's a little more boring. So not necessarily something not to use. I definitely use this a lot. Anyway, so that's the difference. So try both of them. So the key word here is variety. Now we're going to paint an area of light value paint. Well, let's look at the light value wash right here. Our goal is to create an area of paint that's attractive. And we're going to do that by using a variety of colors, red, yellow, and blue. And it turns out that in the light value areas, all the colors are harmonious. You don't get into problems with colors jarring with each other. One thing I'm going to work on here, though, is to make all my shapes soft. So soft shapes, lots of color, value range from white to almost middle value. Let's get started. Okay, step one, I'm going to pre-wet this area. I don't do this all the time, but if I need soft shapes, that's a good way to get it. And now I'm going to just go ahead and try some colors. There's some yellow, pretty light. It's okay. Generally in watercolor we paint light to dark. Ooh, that's pretty strong. Now it looks really strong, but it's not. It's going to dry lighter. Here's my kind of my red. See, all the shapes are pretty soft right now. Pretty interesting. I lost any white, so I'm going to just use a kind of dry brush to moist with clear water to recover some of my white. Turns out that snow looks good if it has a little bluish cast. So we're going to make it a little blue dominant. can I get away with it going even darker and still call it a light wash? I think so. I think that'll be exciting in the snow to have a little bit of darker color. That is going to dry quite a bit lighter though, so I don't think I've gone too far. Okay. That's middle value. Let's see how that dries up later on. Now let's do the middle value area. And in this painting, the Bud's Hut painting, the middle value area are trees. And so this is going to be a greenish area, but colorful and soft shapes. Turns out, though, in the middle value area, we do have a problem. That this is where all the paints, most of the hues are at their highest chroma. So you can really get into jarring color combinations. And there are ways to work around that, plan around it, using various color scheme methods. But I'm not. I'm going to use a method called the mother color method. And what I'm going to do is no matter what color I add in here, I'm going to make sure it has a little bit of green in it. And that way I'm going to moderate all the colors and harmonize them. Good. Mother color. So step one, I'm going to mix my mother color up. And it's just going to be green. Kind of a conifer green, which is a more on the kind of a bluish side. And I'm going to add a little bit of, that's pretty blue. Let's get it into more in the yellow. There we go. Now I'm going to add a little bit of red to it. And I think I'll use a rose red. There we go. Okay, and that's a good mother color. And now I'm going to just go ahead and paint. Now notice I did not pre-wet this. Pre-wetting does lighten the colors up quite a bit. So I'm going to just go ahead and directly paint, but make sure that each stroke moves into the previous stroke so that we get soft shapes. Now I'm using a variety of colors here. I'm going to mix pure red in. My brush is dirty, so it's got the mother color in it. I'm going to use some pure green, pure blue with mother color. It's getting pretty dark. More in the dark range, so I'm going to lighten it up a touch. There we go, it lightens it up. And let's go back in with mother color. How about some pure yellow? That might be kind of fun. Pure yellow with a dirty brush gives me my mother color. Dirty red. And what else? Well, let's go ahead and do that. If it's too dark, well, then you need to lighten it up a little bit. This is pretty good for me. And notice this is quite a bit darker than the lighter values. The lighter values have dried lighter, and this is going to work very well as far as light and dark is concerned as a middle value. Finally, let's go ahead and do the darks. I'm going to clean my palette off a little bit. Probably not necessary because we're going to be totally overpowering anything that we've done. Now, it turns out that in the dark value range, all dark values look good together, so we don't really have to harmonize colors at all. However, it's hard to get colors dark, so I'm going to mix up a mother color anyway. It's just burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. And I'm not going to be able to use a lot of water in my brush, but some. And I'm going to just dive right in, have fun with it. And that mother color now, the dark, is going to make sure everything is really dark. So the goal here is dark, but not black. Black is boring. So we're going to just make sure it's really almost black. Reds, blues. You might try some greens. I don't have any on my palette right now. I'll have to mix it. Greens. How about some brown? There we go. Really dark, but very colorful. Don't overstroke, and which I was doing here. Let the colors differentiate themselves. They'll work really well in the painting as a colorful area of paint. So, there we go. An attractive light, middle, and dark set of value patterns, and all soft shapes, ready to work detail in. So thank you for viewing, and we'll see you on part B when we actually paint Bud's hut.